Hi everybody, my name is Dennis and welcome back to another album review. Today I'm going to go over my final thoughts on Death Race for Love by Wrld. If you remember, about a week ago I did my reaction video to it, and again, shout out to my Instagram again because you guys did vote for me to do a more formal review of it after listening to it a couple more times. And I wanted to give some space between my initial reaction and my review of it, so that's why this review is coming out relatively late, but I think it's a fair time considering when my reaction came out. So with that being said, I'm not really going to go into a lot of the things I already discussed in my reaction. For example, the songs that I enjoyed, I generally enjoy still, so I'm not really going to go in too deep to my enjoyment of songs like Empty or Fast or Ring Ring or Make Believe, because I already talked about these, I feel, sufficiently in my initial reaction. So go check that out if you want to see some more specific thoughts on those songs. And even though my opinions on a couple of them have changed some, my thoughts are generally the same, more or less. I will admit, the song Maze did grow on me quite a bit when listening to it a couple more times. I was kind of lukewarm on it at first, but it really did stick to me a bit more. I got into the groove of it more. I enjoyed the slick production more as I heard it more and more times. It was really one that grew on me as I continued to listen to it. So that one, again, my initial reaction was more or less mediocre at best, but I really did come to enjoy the song as I listened to it more often. Syphilis was a song that I was kind of conflicted on when I first heard it. I was very negative of it at first when I heard it, and then the acapella part came in, which I thought was absolutely amazing, and I kind of grew to enjoy the rest of it because of that. But after listening to it a couple more times, I still do love that acapella part. I think that part is absolutely fire. But the rest of it is really unimpressive, trying way too hard to give this aggressive, tough guy feel, and it's in a kind of awkward place between two relatively more upbeat, happy tracks, like the song Feeling, which I quite enjoyed, and the less impressive but still upbeat Who Shot Cupid. Two songs that I did talk about my enjoyment of them initially, but really two songs that stood out as being just amazing, probably my two favorite songs on the album, were The Bee's Knees and She's the One. Where The Bee's Knees is kind of this two-part song where the first half is it's hard for me to decipher what I like so much about the first half. It's just got a really fun beat that works well with what Wrld's doing. It's nothing revolutionary, it's nothing outlandish, but it's just really good. And the second half of it being very dreamy, very aesthetically pleasing in its simple, soft beauty that I think offers a unique flavor that's not presented anywhere else on this much longer than it needs to be album. From there, the song She's the One, I absolutely am dying for the very psychedelic nature of it, the very mystical, mysterious, slightly creepy, but in a very good way vibes that I get from it that are just so addicting, that I just really love the aesthetic this song gives off, and I love how unique it is, where some of the songs can start to sound similar, even the ones that I find more enjoyable. There were a couple of very bad tracks on here too. Most notably the songs Big and Flaws and Sins stand out to me, where Big is very frustratingly generic, boring, and overall horrible. And Flaws and Sins was one, again, that I was kind of just lukewarm to. I think I disliked it more than I liked it initially, but it really just got worse as time went on, if I'm being honest. The lyrics started to be more present, or more apparent as being poorly written, underdeveloped, and really just bland, flavorless, and any flavor that it did give was an unpleasant one at that. I also find the beat really annoying, really generic, really bland, and his flow is unimpressive at best here. I also didn't care for the song Out My Way too much. I do think the beat is okay on it. I think I've warmed up to that beat a bit more since when I first heard it, but it's still just really hit or miss as a song overall. I find the vocal performance a bit awkward and out of place. Kind of like a similar problem I had with the song Robbery, but not quite to the same extent, where Robbery, I think the beat is great, but I think the vocal performance is absolutely horrible. I hate how whiny he sounds. I hate it sounds like he's just crying into the mic for no real reason. I mean, the lyrics are like, this is a sad boy emo rap album. The lyrics are oftentimes about heartbreak and how horrible this girl treated him and how bad women can be, and it's kind of what you would expect. Some songs are definitely more well developed than others. Some weaker tracks, again, Flaws and Sins, Out My Way, kind of a writer, all more weak in their writing. Whereas I think the song Ring Ring is actually very well written and really is an informative track about the way depression oftentimes affects people's emotions and their willingness to associate with others in general. And I think that this is a very unique track on here because it doesn't focus quite on how much the relationship has impacted him versus how his depression has impacted his relationships, which I think is a different change of pace for Juice WRLD that I enjoyed quite a bit. I thought that was really well written, and I think that's a very great track. But probably the worst crime this album commits overall is its 72-minute runtime, which is just absolutely ridiculous, because there is not nearly enough consistent content, enjoyability, or new sounds, styles, lyrics, development, anything that really warrants that length. You could cut off at least a third of this album and it would be so much better. Just cut off all of the bland, forgettable throwout tracks like, I don't know, Desire or On God or 10 Feet. I mean, there's just so many songs in here that you could just slice right off and the album would be so much better. Just making a focused, interesting, well-developed project. Because there are some really unique sounds and styles on here, like I've mentioned before, that Juice WRLD pulls off really well. But unfortunately, for every one song that I really enjoy, it seems like there's two more that do nothing impressive whatsoever. And they're not necessarily bad. I mean, they don't do anything offensively horrible, but they just exist with no purpose. I mean, I can listen to the song like, I don't know, 10 Feet or Won't Let Go 10 times over and still not really remember how they go, because it's just so forgettable. And it's maybe just a flaw on my part, because there's 22 tracks on this thing. It's hard to really remember every detail about everything without extensive note-taking. But really, this album is way longer than it needs to be, and is definitely a quantity over quality feel that unfortunately so many artists, especially in the popular rap genre, have taken a liking to, where they just hope something off the album goes big and not really caring about making one enjoyable, cohesive project. And it's really unfortunate to me, because to me, albums really do make music shine. Singles are great. EPs are great. Don't get me wrong. But an album is such a beautifully developed craft, where a single can convey a lot of emotion or be very informative or well written or something. An album is a beautiful, cohesive nature of tracks where everything works together and can potentially build one another up into something really amazing that a single on its own could not do, which I think is really unfortunate, that people don't take care to make beautiful, crafted projects, but just churn out as much music as they can just hoping one of these songs off of it goes big. So that's kind of my rant on why I think albums are amazing in general, but maybe that's just me. But overall, this album is still solid. I mean, there are definitely plenty of tracks on here that I enjoy listening to, but it just is way too long way too long. Way longer than it needs to be, and there's too much forgettable filler on here for real strong enjoyment. I'm feeling a solid 6 on this. If you check this out, definitely tell me what you thought of it. Be sure to tell me how wrong my opinions are as always, and I'll see you in the next review.